Oh, I was on the wrong layer. Gotta keep track of that too. So you can just take this whole selection and change it really easily without screwing up your other things that you wanted to keep the same. Another tip with doing cell shading is, how many tones do you want? I'd say a good number is 3. It just depends on how detailed you want to be and how much time you have to complete an illustration. If you want to get really detailed, you can have a lot more. On this skin, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tones. But if you pay attention to your light source and keep things clean and organized, you can really just do 2 or 3 and it can still look like a good image. And take a look at some of your other favorite artists and art books and see what kind of coloring techniques they did and learn from that. Also, depending on how detailed you want to get with your picture, and how easy you want things to be, you can keep things on the same layer. So, I might have done the skin and I want to color her lips specifically a different color. I can just go ahead and put that on the same layer and I won't really worry about it too much. But if you're doing a piece where you think that you're going to need a separate layer, there's always that option. But you can do this same layer, and if I decided, oh, that looks terrible, I can just go back and put it exactly how it was before and not worry about it. And so it's actually really that simple. If you have clean line work and when you fill in your selections and you make sure that your lines don't have openings in them so that when you do the magic wand selection, it goes outside. So sometimes it takes tweaking where you go back and forth and have to draw more pieces to correct your line work. It's a very, very back and forth process. But I found that this is a way to just get things done really quickly. So does anyone have any questions about that technique? So does anyone have any questions? You in the back first?
Yeah, do you ever use the burn and dodge to also simulate for highlight and shadow?
I have used them before. Personally, I feel that sometimes they can get a little bit out of control and it won't go exactly the right color that I want. But sometimes that is a good way to make something look very kind of burnished and glossy. But usually I would only use that when I did a picture with more soft shading instead of hard, more, I guess, anime style cell shading like this. And you had a question?
Yeah, normally they tell you to always ink it in, so the contrast always looks good, but you did it with just penciling, and I've done it penciling too since I got lazy. But then, let's say when I erase something, I still see that image and it affects when I try to color it in. So is it always better to ink it in before you scan it and do your work?
Are you asking, can you just
pencil it? Yeah, because I get lazy too.
I'm all about lazy. No, actually, I've seen a lot of really great artists who don't ink their work at all. They just have really great pencil work. And if you use that trick I showed with your channels and dividing just that line work by itself, that makes it very easy to work with. Sometimes it takes a little bit more cleaning up, and you would want to use the levels under adjustment levels to make your pencil work more contrasted. That's a good way to.
Where'd you go levels in what?
Did someone say something?
No, where did you go levels in what?
Oh, here, I'm going to show you with a pencil drawing. Let's get my sketch back up here. This is just a pencil drawing. I believe I already leveled it, but yes, you go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels, or just Command or Control L. Then you get this, and you can just pull these tabs. And what this does is it will make your darks darker. This will make your whites whiter, so you see it'll start kind of blowing out your image. And then this kind of takes the mid-tones to darker or lighter. And so if you play around with these with your pencil drawings, you can get them to look more sharp and contrasted. Any other questions? Yep.
What size tablet do you use for printing?
What is this? It's I think this is a 6x8. It's different for everyone, but really size does not matter. For a while I didn't have this tablet, and I rented from my college a very small one. I think the actual tablet space was like almost the size of an index card. But it's amazing how much sensitivity it still had. Personally, this works for me. Some people like the really big ones. I'd say with the bigger ones, you could maybe get a little bit more detail, but this one's always worked well for me. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to show you how I use those techniques to make my webcomic every week. And the thing about webcomics, and I'm admittedly a little bit new to webcomics, is that it's so important to keep them updated on a regular basis. Because if you don't update it, people who are reading it will start